not going to take all day, but cause I have things that I want to work on. Cause I'm doing like an event today. Oh, I love this sun, this granola sun. Um, so one of my girlfriends tagged me in a video that Hope Giselle had released, um, confronting a Caucasian, one of our Caucasian siblings, um, about one of our Caucasian cis siblings about some rhetoric that they had gave that was shady. We know we live in a world in the American dream, which a lot of us are in pursuit of. Cis people are being centered in the American dream. The cis binary has been the thing. And what really gags me is seeing trans people trying to incorporate themselves into the same dream instead of saying, "Hey, let's shift to a different dream." There are trans people who are now trying to embody these same values. This, just moving the same way as the colonizers moving. Now, because Hope's rhetoric or how Hope chose to address it brought up some things for me that I want to address and that I want to speak to. I'm not necessarily speaking to Hope because I think Hope is an archetype that represents a spirit, and so I want to speak more so to the spirit. I don't want to drag the march. I don't want to drag her because, again, y'all know this was Lynn's baby, and I love my sister. But I'm still gonna say my piece. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be silent or be muffled. I'm not being muffled for my Caucasian siblings. I'm not being muffled for my deeply melanated Afro-Indigenous siblings. I'm not being muzzled for my Black Indigenous siblings. I'm not being muzzled for any of you. If there's something that I want to say, I'm gonna try to say it tactfully, tastefully, and respectfully. And then sometimes I'm just gonna have to eat that greasy pork chop, and y'all gonna have to be good. One of the things that bothers me is that when we curse or when we get a little ratchet or we get a little ghetto, that's always associated with blackness. Like, we love to stereotype that and say, it's code switching when we start cursing or when we start speaking slang or in a certain vernacular. No, all people. Trailer Park Trash got vernacular. Chinese got theirs. The Latinos got theirs. We all be on some trap shit. Like, we all can get ghetto. We all can eat that greasy pork chop. We all can yell and curse and act ignorant. Ignorance is not just like black people don't own the rights to ignorance. But ignorance is bliss for a lot of us. A lot of us, um, we come off as if we super woke and if we super conscious, but if we was, we wouldn't be so needy to sit at tables that were never designed to accommodate us. As I've said before, we've never been the main course. This is when this nation was created, when this business was created, when American business was created. um, Black bodies, indigenous bodies, brown bodies, queer bodies were not in the blueprint. It was not in the format. It was not in the menu. They was never planning on serving it. They was never planning on serving those particular um, facets of consciousness or the human existence. There was never a notion that we were going to be at that table. But because um, the grass always looks greener on the other side, because the setup looks so nice and we just want to try things, we got sucked in. I said this on my story and I'll say it again. I think that Hansel and Gretel was really about some indigenous people, some black indigenous people, some deeply melanated indigenous people, some lightly melanated indigenous people that got the witch is representative of them ones that came over on boats, and they was building up these big old houses and riding around in carriages, and They had a big house, and they had all of this, what we consider to be luxury and extravagance. They had all of these things, they had gigamabobs and gadgets of plenty, like Ariel said. And we wanted to eat with them. We wanted to, oh, this look nice, I ain't never seen this before, I want to try this. Try this, buy this. Try this, buy this, pick me, pick a nini. That's what I said when I was in New York. Try this, buy this, pick me, pick a nini. Standing in line for it. And so this is not necessarily pointed at hope, but this is me speaking to a spirit. Now, the thing that kind of aggravates me with what she said in the live was she took the time to confront the Caucasian men, but there are plenty of your sisters that have, called you in, have had questions for you, and you did not respond. Because this is a Caucasian gay man, a Caucasian cis man, your antics are justifiable. You can do a spectacle. You could be beat out your mind, look lovely as fuck, and make a spectacle, and no one's gonna be upset with you because the collateral damage was a cis gay man. But let's not sweep over the fact that you still around here ignoring your sisters and limiting your comments. And so that's what I'ma say, and I just want to go on the record of saying that. When I saw the energy, because I give it to y'all equally, post-op, pre-op, non-op, thought about the op, opted out. Maybe you are a op, I don't know. But whatever kind of op you is, post-op, pre-op, non-op, just a op, just a plain op, you all could get it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't discriminate. Bitch, I could get it. I give it to me if I'm not, moving like I need to move. But I wanted to go to the conference, but it's real close to an important event in my personal life, and you don't want to be getting ready to go and have, go through something that's evasive and something that's gonna really be a milestone in your life, and be a part of something that feels exclusive. Like, I understand trans people needing to have our own spaces. I am totally for trans people having some spaces where we can feel autonomous, where we can feel sovereign, but feeling like we need to give the same, to dish out the same trauma that has been administered to us, the same toxicity that has been administered to us through the ignorance of our cis straight het counterparts, like feeling like it's our turn to administer that same venom. It's a bit much for me. You can say, I despise the term "know your place." I despise that term. As a black, indigenous, queer person, I am very triggered by hearing any of us say "know your place." I have a problem with that. That bothers me. I don't think that anyone should be told that. But I do think there's a loving and thoughtful way, and I have grace for you, Hope, because you're a young girl. I admire your passion. I live for that. I think that I think that you can lack authenticity at times, but when you are a national brand, your level of fakeness, it has to be a different level. Once you get to a certain level, I get it. This is why I never wanted it. I never want to have to be as fake as some of the girls. When they get to that level, it's not appealing to me. It's not attractive to me. It's not something I would want to model. It's not something I would want to see these youth model to become a person. You said you're approachable, but you're not. No, you said you weren't above reproach. Let me correct myself, because you never said that you weren't approachable, but you're not though. Um, Reproach, I don't know. I don't really know you well enough to know, how you deal with criticism or how you accept criticism. But I do know that it was odd that when this white man said something about you, and I guess the white man must be somebody of importance because you responded to that. You responded to that. You answered the call, but so many of your sisters have been having questions for you that they cannot ask because your comments are limited. I'm not the only girl. Not the only girl, because I've done videos about you before, and it was girls in the comment section of my videos saying that no, they can't reach you. They can't. You're not reachable. And this march was ran by a black girl before you, so this is they passed down the tradition. They let another black girl have this right to do this, and I don't want, because I'm not gonna be able to make it this year, but that don't means that I'm not in support of the march. Like, Washington D.C. is a beautiful place to have it. Y'all had it in Washington D.C. the first time. I was upset because I didn't get to go to it the first time. Looking back, like now, I wish I would have went to it the first time because that was a beautiful moment for Lynn. But I was going through my own shit, and I just did not feel like I would be a good energy for it. But now I'm in a very good space, and the march seems like it would be something that I would want to go to because it's gonna be in DC. Low key, I think DC is very magical, and DC is where the DC got a lot of indigenous energy. You be seeing them indigenous statues, and honey, all them indigenous people don't look like them pretending. And some of them indigenous people look like they had a lot of melanin. You see some of that in the artwork, and I love DC. DC is a beautiful place, and I would love to be at the march, but I'm just not gonna. I don't have the psychic energy. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the emotional, the mental, or the spiritual capacity to put myself in a space where we are intentionally trying to be exclusionary, especially when you consider the fact that a lot of code switching is not just something black people do. Like, literally, in the trans community and the gender non-binary community, we literally shift how we show up for our survival. Because I am assumed to be cis, child, I go along with that shit sometimes when it's convenient for my survival. When it's convenient for my survival in this particular form, in this particular manifestation. And a lot of us, if you are a trans person who has not began your medical transition or has no intention of doing a medical transition, if you're a non-binary person who has not began your physical transition and has no intention of medically transitioning, when you're accessing these spaces, are you to take a back seat too? Are you to know your place? Because you have not medically transitioned, because you have not physically transitioned. So say if there's a whole bunch of non-binary people there who have not medically transitioned, and these non-binary people, for all intents and purposes, date other non-binary people who are also cis body. Are they to know their place? So that's how when we start saying cis people know your place, it becomes a slippery slope for me. Because how are you gonna decipher who's non-binary and non-op? Who's trans and non-op? How do you decipher? How does that happen? Oh, because you're not a girl who's had any type of argumentation, because you're not a girl or a guy, because there wasn't really much talk about trans men. It was really given the march was for trans women when I was listening to what she was saying. It really wasn't giving me trans men, but she did say trans people should double back, but she put a lot of emphasis on the girls. So if you are a non-binary, non-operative trans man, how do we decipher where your place is? Only the girls with titties and face work and with lace fronts on, they only get the mic. Their respect for girls who have skin in the game, girls who have given that pound of flesh for this movement, girls who have laid on tables and had surgeries, guys who have laid on table, our trans masculine and our trans femme beings who have laid on the table and sacrificed that 1 pound of flesh, who have went through that procedure, who's had those operations. I definitely feel like our non-binary cis-bodied people and our trans cis-bodied people should honor and respect the sacrifice of your siblings who have began a medical transition, who have completed their medical transition, or who are willing to go through that medical transition, because it takes all kind to make the world go, world go around. And so we need people who have done those things and had that experience to give us a well-rounded movement, a well-rounded tribe. We can't just be, all the non-ops over here, all of the non-surgical beings over here, all of the cis-bodied individuals over here, and all of the queer-bodied, all of the transition-bodied, all of the medical transition bodies over here. We don't want to create those types of spaces, but saying, um, but trying to exclude people based on a label, based on cisness, it's like, again, it's a lot of non-binary people who look cis. It's a lot of trans people who look cis. And we are not cultivating an environment where more individuals say, you know what? I'm trans in my spirit. I'm trans in my mind. And I want to do the work of understanding beings who have medically transitioned so that I don't demonize them and look down upon them, because that's what the church told me. If you change your body, is something wrong with you. So in order for cis-bodied individuals, whether they identify as trans or whether they identify as non-binary, in order for them to feel safe and seen in those spaces, we don't need to be saying shit like know your place. Because I'm not speaking for the cis person that said that smart stuff to you, but I'm speaking for the cis people who really are trying to figure things out and who might really feel like the binary ain't shit and might be tired of it, but they don't want to medically transition. The reason why a lot of us medically transition is because we have to. There are certain things that we want to accomplish in life, certain experiences that we want to have, and people just not going to take you seriously if you don't. That's just the bottom line. People are not going to take you seriously. People are not. When I had my complete sex change, one of the reasons why I had it done was because I knew that there was not a girl to speak to being post-op. There was not a being to speak to being post-op and born with a penis that could be an ambassador, that could say, okay, this is how post-ops feel and this is how pre-ops feel. There was not a piece in the puzzle that looked like me that was doing that. And my grandmother always told me, if you don't see it, that's because you're supposed to be it. So there was not a being that had this experience, because normally when the girls that's my color, that's like this and not like this, when the girls that look like this, when we get them pussies, we go underground. We run things through pillow talk. We put cookies in that nigga head. We move behind the scenes. But I didn't want to be that girl. I represent a new legacy. I represent a new dawn. Come on, new legacy. A new generation where you can be post-op and be an advocate and be out and not have to hide. The reason why you're able to thrive as a sex change hope is because of girls like me. And I don't want what she has. I don't want what any of those girls have. I don't need your platform. I'm perfectly fine with my own. I I don't have a creative resume. I don't have a CV. I don't have I have a formal resume that I can use when I go and look for a job. I've accomplished a whole lot of things. And I don't document that shit and put that shit on a timeline because if I'm being honest with you, that shit is not important to me. That shit is important to y'all. The shit that I think is important and the stuff that I think valuable, y'all don't. I said this numerous times. A burglar could come up in my house and everything that I would be worried about getting stole, he would not touch. Because I don't value what a lot of y'all value. I don't value what y'all value. And that's because I'm not out here trying to build up Massa's plantation. I'm not here for the American dream. I am living in an indigenous reality. And I am maneuvering in the best way I know how. I get resources for my loved ones and I do what I need to do, but I never sold out. I never compromised. I never compromised who I am and what I believe in. Even if behind the scenes, I might do a little shucking and jiving for a check. When it's time for me to get on my platform, I always give y'all the uninhibited truth. Even if it make me look stupid. Because you know what? I know that there's an impressionable child that has access to my platform. And when they pulled me to the side and they told me, you know, basically we paying for your silence. And I'll never forget, we was in a damn meeting and one of the supervisors who was black and gay and looked just like me, he hollered, they were supposed to be hiring a trans management and he ran the marker through that and said we won't be doing that and bust out laughing and everybody bust out laughing. And I quit that job after I read the fuck out of him because you know what? My spiritual siblings, my children, the ones that's coming up under me, they need to see an example of the truth. They need to see an example of someone who is willing to step to the back of the line. Cause it's not no shame in riding in the back of the bus. It's not no shame in not being able to go into the white only spaces. Cause I never needed those fucking spaces anyway. Y'all get me when y'all act like what the white people got going on or what Caucasian people got going on. It's the only show in town and it's the best show in town. You really speak to your own anti-blackness and your own your own anti-indigeneity, always upholding spaces that were never designed to accommodate you, always feeling like you need to be at their tables in order to have access. It's a reason why deeply melanated people aren't associated with atomic bombs and weapons of mass destruction throughout the history of this planet. It's because we are the bomb, bitch. We are the power source. What do you mean? We make the flowers grow. We make the motherfucking trees. All this shit happens because of us. It's our energy that focuses on it. Everything on this planet is feeding off of that. Everything is feeding off of that. We are a direct product of the richest parts of this planet. This. And when you forget that, you become a part of the problem, begging for recognition. I feel so crazy when I'm filling out a grant application, and it's Caucasian people with resources and money that they motherfucking stolen from our people and stolen from our ancestors, and now I got to peacock and talk like you and speak like you in order for you to fund me, and you don't really care about me preserving my culture. You don't really care about me preserving my heritage. The only reason why you showing up for me and supporting me at all is because I am conforming to become what you are in blackface. And too many of my sisters support that. We go and get these surgeries that make us look familiar and make us look like them, and we throw on these fake ass wigs and this fake ass motherfucking hair and all this motherfucking makeup and contour ourselves and carve on ourselves till we look like massa, and then think because we say black power it means something to real indigenous people. The whole term black was made up for this construct. So we already know That's why I say black indigenous. I never say black by itself. Because when I say indigenous, I'm acknowledging my connection to the land. I'm acknowledging that I am not afraid of sunlight. I am not afraid of water. I'm not afraid of bugs. I'm not afraid of trees. And I'm not against fresh air or puppy dogs. Or puppy dogs. I love them all. That's why I don't say black by itself, because black reminds me of you niggas that want to be up under the motherfucking AC in comfort 24 hours a day, every motherfucking day. Don't want to go out in the woods. Don't have no connection to nature. You just like the white people. You couldn't survive. And then this the gag. It's a lot of white people. It's a lot of Caucasian people. Love camping, love hiking, love the mountains. Love doing things that indigenous people have always been known for doing. So yeah, I done said what I needed to say about this. Um yeah, I wish y'all luck with the conference. Um I wish y'all luck with that. I'm not gonna be able to attend this year because, like I said, I got something personal going on, and I don't want to shift my energy, you know, when I see what the foundation is giving, But I wish us luck. I wish us all the luck. Like I am going to say what's on my spirit, and if you think that's problematic, that's fine. That's because y'all used to burying stuff and pretending like it's nothing wrong, and that's why it's so much division in the community, because we can't call each other in, and we can't speak our piece without it looking like a girl trying to stifle the movement or stop another girl. It shouldn't be that big a deal for somebody to say, hey, you moving a little flaky, let me have a conversation with you about that. Let me, what's the tea with this? Like, but you trying to give this grand hierarchy like you're that girl, and like you're and like certain girls can't fit with you. What the fuck do you mean? Ma'am, I'm eternal. I know who I am. If this body dropped today or tomorrow, the seeds that I planted, the work that I've done, it's going to live on. I'm going to live on. Ma'am, I'm going to shapeshift. What you need to worry about is what's going to happen to you after your body drop, because you done so much tap dancing up on this here plantation. And I'm not talking about her. I'm speaking to a spirit. A lot of you need to be worried about where you're going when this is done. What's happening next? Yeah, bitch, you can spit on me in this life. You can piss on me. You could look like you're that girl and you're sitting up on the throne and I'm sitting down here beneath you, girl. Yes, girl, let's play that narrative, girl. Let me be with the people. Let me be the commoners, bitch. But in every movie that you've ever watched, when you watch Beauty and the Beast, how did that witch show up the first time before she cursed him? She came as an old haggard lady and he played in her face and she blessed his ass. When you watch stories about the gods, how do they always show up first? Broken down, haggard, beat up, and then the next thing you know, they do that epic spin on your ass. So guess what? I'm the crooked tooth, HIV positive, raggedy mouth, funky breath, whatever the fuck you want to call me, I will be that in this life. Oh, but bitch, when it's time for that celestial spin, bitch. Bitch, when it's time for that celestial spin, bitch, I want all you hoes to remember how you played in my fucking face. I want all you hoes to remember that when it's time to shapeshift, honey. When it's time for that good old Holy Spirit, when it's time for that good old whole spirit, when it's time for that good old magic to hit the earth, girl, I want all of you girls to remember how you played in my fucking face. And how I stayed to the back of the bus because I saw you hoes was performing and being a spectacle and doing shenanigans and trying to motherfucking make slaves out of babies. Because that's what these little Caucasian people are. They're our babies. We bred them. They came from our DNA. And some of them a mess. I'm not making excuses for all Caucasian people. Some of them are a mess. It just is what it is. They're a mess. But some of them, child, oh, boochie boochie boo. You don't know no better, do you, pumpkin? And y'all ain't no better than them. A lot of y'all, the melanin is malfunctioning. The melanin just ain't giving. The melanin ain't melanin in. It ain't. It ain't melanin in. It ain't. You ain't getting that vitamin D. Maybe you need to go sit in the sun. Maybe it's because you've been laying up under that AC too much and you ain't been getting enough sun in your life. Maybe that could be what it is. Maybe you ain't getting enough rays. Maybe. Hmm. Poor baby. Poor Tink Tink. But know who you are. Know who you are. Know who you are beyond this physical form. Know who you are beyond this body. And it's okay to have an experience. It's okay to want to go out and do the things and have the fun. That's what we're here for. We're here to live. Live is evil spelled backwards. Baby, we're here to live. We're here to get our life. We're here to experience. We're here to understand, to explore, to carve out our own space, to create our own narratives. Yes, do all the things. But don't think that you're better than somebody else. And don't go to excluding people simply because you have been excluded. Learn how to have grace for ignorance. Now, if a person is being disrespectful to you, then absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I don't feel bad about what I'm saying, because I know that my existence gave hope. If it had not, the first couple of times you saw me at conferences, you wouldn't have been running up in my face, making your way to speak to me. So I know that I've inspired you, sis. And for me to address you directly a numerous amount of times and for you never to respond, but when that motherfucking white man, when that Caucasian man said something about you, and you knew you could blow up the spot and make a spectacle, and it was gonna entertain the girls, and you was gonna get right on, tell them, Hope, you go, Hope, you said that. But the really tough conversations is the ones that you need to have with your sisters, the ones you need to have with your community, because we can't do the race card with them, we can't do the patriarchy card with them. That's where the real healing gonna come in at. And guess what the Caucasians gonna do? Cause they love us. Y'all always talking about how they steal everything from us, how they copy us with everything. Well, why not we model something for them that is not based in the trauma of the slave narrative and the lack narrative, the lack model, the limitation model. Why don't we model something different for them and be strong enough and aware enough and confident and competent enough to not delineate from that so that we could see the shift that we're looking for? Let's show up for each other. Let's not be afraid to call each other out. Let's not be afraid to have calm conversations with each other, honest conversations with each other, and transparent conversations with each other. And let's model that, and let's stop getting caught up in the shenanigans of our little Caucasian offspring. Because at some point in time, let me tell you something. If if we follow the timestamp, I think this is just my opinion, and I think that science will back me up in this. I think that before there was a Caucasian, there was an albino species. I think the albinos came before the Asians and the Caucasians. Because literally the word Asian is in the word Caucasian. So I'm thinking Caucasians and Asians came out the same thing. And I think the albinoid gene, which came from the Negroid gene, those possessing negritude, out of the Negro gene came the albinoid gene, and out of the albinoid gene came the Caucasian and the Asian. Okay, albinos in some parts of the world are still being hunted for their white skin. So whatever the Caucasian did to shift from being seen as albino, whatever the Asian did to shift from being seen as albino, it was probably a means of not being hunted, because the albino was looked at as magical because it was so white. They was literally cutting off their fingers and toes and saving them and making jewelry out of them like rabbit's paws and stuff. And so I think there's violence in there's trauma in their DNA too. And just because that trauma goes far beyond the trauma that our ancestors, some of our most recent ancestors, have experienced through chattel slavery, it does not mean that albinos, which were the ancestors to the Caucasians and the Asians, was not being hunted, because they was looked at as white devils. They was killing them because they thought they was white devils, and they was killing them because they thought the bitches was magical. So the violence that their ancestors unleashed on our ancestors during slavery could have something to do with the fact that that missing link, that missing component, which was the albino, which was being hunted because it was viewed as a demon by some of our deeply melanated ancestors, and by our other deeply melanated ancestors, they was looked at as magical. So it was like, let me cut off your toe, let me cut off your finger, let me save this. So there's trauma in the whole of it all. And just because our trauma, some parts of our ancestry has experienced a trauma that's more recent, that doesn't give us the right to erase everything that has happened throughout our timeline as human beings. I am not here for coddling Caucasian people. I am not here for coddling anybody. I don't have a lot of close Caucasian friends, because the same way I'm speaking about hope right now, the same way I will speak about myself, the same way I will talk about anybody else in the community, I will also give this to Caucasian people too. I don't get around Caucasian people and no, that's y'all. That's why y'all like to try to call me a coon. But the same energy that I have for hope, the same energy that I have the same energy for them. Let's unpack that. Let's explore that. Why? Why did you think that was okay? No. I've literally had Caucasian people to tell me, and I'm standing here in $2 fabric, just finished hitting a pipe yesterday, and some face paint on. You think you better than me, don't you? I've had Caucasian people to tell me I think I'm better than them, and I'm standing up in here in $2 fabric, fresh off a hit, with face paint on. And I think I'm better than you just because I'm being my authentic self? Let's unpack that. So the same vigilance that I have for my community, those who look like me directly, I have that same sometimes when I'm in a room full of Caucasians and they talking, I just don't say nothing. I observe, I study. Because everything is not worth a comment. A lot of them, the rat race is all they know. They're a lot of them are not in touch with their soul. A lot of them feel like this reality is all that they have, and that's why they're desperately trying to hold on to it. That's why movies like Get Out are based in reality. That's why they're desperately trying to hold on to this. We look at some of them as powerful, 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 powerful. But if you just let the sun shine in, it will burn them to cinders, and they will turn to dust right before your eyes like vampires. Them vampires, you open that window, and what happened? The sunlight pour in, and bitch, dust. From dust you came, from dust you shall return. So, some of your biggest threats, honey, sometimes all you have to do is just let the light of truth in, and bitch, you will turn to dust. That's all I got. I'm finna go. I got things to do, things to chew, crowns to make. I love y'all. Down but now that I say cool, it keeps spitting and turning. Ian Gani, Iyanko Kalukalo, which means I am a child of God Goddess. And if I am, then you know you are. Mwah. Love y'all.